About 3 years ago, I played a surprisingly good game called Crackdown. It was filled with orbs to hunt, a massive city to bound around, and plenty of toys to play with. In short, it was a great co-op sandbox with just a few shortcomings. Now I've played that game again, only this time it's called Crackdown 2. Outside of a few small improvements, this sequel is pretty much exactly a repeat of Crackdown 1. Whether that's a good thing or not depends on your perspective. The story goes something like this. A virus is spreading, turning everyone into zombie-like freaks. A terrorist cell is doing its whole terrorist thing. It all looks pretty bleak for Pacific City. Your job as a superhero-like agent is to scour the city for orbs and power up your skills in order to restore order by any means necessary.
Agent, let's get to work. Chain explosives together to create awesome explosion.
That setup is about all you'll get in terms of storytelling in Crackdown 2. The main objective simply involves repeating the same mission 9 times in various parts of the city, and it isn't until the very end that you'll begin to get any exposition outside of little collectible voice recordings. There's a big city to explore and a decent amount of side quests to distract you from the fact that there isn't really any structure here. But if you've already played Crackdown 1, then you already have done the whole exploration bit. Some roads have been cracked and many buildings are in a state of disrepair, but this is very much the same city. Sometimes I found it cool to stumble across a memorable landmark to see how it has changed, but other times the familiarity left me wanting more. It doesn't help that Pacific City is an ugly place, and not just because there are a lot of freaks running around destroying everything. Crackdown 2 is not a great looking game. Heck, it's not even a good looking game, and it doesn't run very well either. There are 13 different things to do in Crackdown 2, which basically boil down to find this, collect that, shoot these guys, jump through these hoops, or race through these checkpoints. And in return, you will get achievement points. Since the developers had no qualms about repeating those 13 objectives many times throughout the city, you're looking at over 20 hours to do everything here. What Crackdown 2 is really all about though is collecting orbs and leveling up your agent. Though you start as a pretty powerful guy, by the end of the game you'll be able to leap tall buildings in a single bound and be more powerful than a locomotive. For many, that orbathon is all that will really matter. The formula, a kind of modern day mashup of platforming and Pac-Man, just plain works. It's addicting, it's fun, there are a few new types of orbs to snag, and that voice telling you that you're doing a good job is still just as awesome as ever.
Agent, you are a death-dodging serial killer.
And yet, many of the same criticisms of Crackdown 1 can be leveled at this sequel. The melee combat is still pretty bad, the gun targeting causes the camera to move erratically, and there isn't much variety in the mission design. It's still all about grabbing the orbs and then creating your own fun. The good news is that even more toys have been added to the war chest should you decide to go on a good old-fashioned rampage. Though the transforming cars have been nixed, the new vehicles are sweet, and the mag grenade is just too much fun, especially when playing with friends. Speaking of which, new multiplayer options including an expansion to 4-player co-op and 16-player arena combat have been added. Unfortunately, they don't feel fully fleshed out. Simple things that could have made the co-op even better, like the ability to lay down waypoints, are surprisingly absent, and the map screen is far less useful than you would hope. The arena combat, which includes deathmatch and a mode called Rocket Tag, likewise feels half-baked and unbalanced. If you've never played Crackdown, or are hungry for more of the same, you should definitely pick up this sequel. It's got hundreds of orbs to hunt and plenty of toys to play with. That same addictive collectathon is here in full force. What it doesn't have is much that is really new and fresh. With just a few small additions after 3 years of waiting, I can't help but be a bit disappointed. Is it still fun though? Well, yes. For more on Crackdown 2, stay tuned to IGN.com.